Good. How are you?
Good, good. Worked all week. Now it's got a couple days off. Now I could make some videos and we could talk. And this is probably one of the most anticipated movies for a lot of people, especially a lot of people who watched the David Lynch or read the books of Dune. This is 2021's Dune. And now listen guys, this is going to be spoilers throughout the whole discussion. This is kind of a review but yet discussion because I know a little bit of what you're feeling about this film, Albert, but we don't really know. We haven't really talked in depth of the film, and I'm really looking forward to hearing your thoughts on it. So, spoilers throughout the whole video. If you haven't seen Dune, I do recommend already off the bat to go watch Dune. The interesting thing about our discussion is we both watched it in a different format. I am always pro champion of the movie theater experience, but the movie theater experience is very expensive, especially when you have a 3 year old and you want to take them to the movies too. Luckily, just to let you guys know, it's not. I'm not average. I'm not getting promotion off these guys, and I'm just simply just a movie lover, letting you guys know if you have a Regal theater in your area. Every Tuesday, it's half off tickets and half off concession. So if you have a chance, go watch Dune in the big screen because we're going to talk about the difference. Because Albert, you watched Dune in the movie theater on the big screen. Is
Yep.
that right?
Premium experience. So you know how Regal has RPX? I saw it at a
Mm-hmm.
theater that's the same thing, MPX.
There we go.
So
Mm-hmm.
bigger, little bigger screen and some louder speakers. And just like you, I love going to the movie theater, and I'm glad I went to go watch the movie theater. Or yeah, I'm glad I went to watch this movie at the movie theater because I feel like it definitely took it up a notch.
And for me, time is an essence. I knew I had work the next day. Busy schedule, busy schedule. So I had to take advantage of the HBO Max. So I did watch it on HBO Max streaming. We're going to get into it right now. Before we get into it real quick, just be sure to click on the subscribe button. It's just one click away to support this channel and become a Dan the Man Reviews client, so to speak, or on the in the group over here, and then also like the video so we could get this thing going and get the discussion going and flowing. So all right, let's get into it, man. So Dune. It's true, I watched it on HBO Max. And
Hmm.
the question is, do I regret watching it on HBO Max and not on the big screen? This is directed by Dennis. I can't really say his name. His name's so hard to say sometimes.
It is a
Uh,
hard name.
Dennis Villeneuve. He did the Blade Runner. What was it?
Mm-hmm.
Blade Runner
49.
2049.
Yep.
He did Blade Runner. He's done quite
Arrival,
a bit of movies.
Arrival and Sicario.
Yes, and I really liked Arrival. I think Arrival was he's really so keen on visuals. So I have to say, I do kind of regret watching on HBO Max, even though I still think I would have got the same. I would have felt the same about the film afterwards. But visually and grand scale of things, it's definitely a movie you need to watch on the big screen. And if you're close to LA, you go to Universal City Walk and you go into the IMAX, and it's just going to propel everything 10 times even more. So I am absolutely saying yes, go to the movie theater. It should be experienced in a movie theater, at the biggest screen possible, the greatest surround sound. But here's the thing. I really liked the movie. I really did enjoy it. I don't think it's going to be for everybody just because it's so out there. There's a lot of information that you really have to process. And even at the end of the film, you're kind of left thinking, you're kind of left like, this is kind of like a not a completed film. You feel that way towards the very, very end of it. But all in all, I did enjoy it. I enjoyed a lot of the. I actually really enjoyed the characters. Of course, the visuals were fantastic. I really liked what was it? It looked like the flying kind of
The
like a mosquito
dragonfly
looking
looking
thing.
thing.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah. Hmm.
The tensions, the acting was great. So, out of all the actors, I know you wanted to know how the character Paul, what's his name?
Mr. Timothy Chalamet.
Yes, he's going
Timothy.
to be the new Willy Wonka.
Uh,
Out of all the actors, when thinking about it, because I watched this the day it was released on HBO Max, thinking about it, the one actor that really like still stands in my mind is Oscar Isaac. I really liked Oscar Isaac's performance in this, and he was like one of my most memorable characters, especially the sacrifice he does, biting down on the tooth, and just everything that the way the his. I did not want to see him go. It kind of reminded me of Godzilla, 2014, when Bryan Cranston was like such the best thing in that film, and then they just kill him off super early. And I'm just like Oscar Isaac was in the film a lot, and I think what really got me was his him and Paul's little when they're in the graves where all the graves were, the past of their kind of like I would say kind of like their family lineage, and just him saying like it doesn't matter if you go into the politics and you taking over, the one thing I just wanted you to be was my son. Kind of reminded me of Pa Kent and Superman, when he told him like you are my son. Like it really hit me, and so it made that death even more meaningful. He really did love his family. He was an honorable man, so to speak. I mean, there were some people who didn't agree with his ways, but I thought Oscar Isaac nailed the performance. I think everybody nails the performance. I think people are going to be disappointed on, some of the characters not being teased, but you got to wait till the sequel, and they haven't even. A lot of these actors have not been signed to a sequel. They weren't. They didn't know if they were getting a sequel, so you won't get the sequel until like 3 years down the road, which is crazy. But like Zendaya or Zendaya is not really in it. She's in a lot of flashbacks. It's like a tease to the sequel. Another character I really liked too was Javier Bardem. Javier Bardem's character was it Stillgate or something like that, the leader of the Freemen. Man, that dude he looked badass. He looked cool. And then the way he comes in and he spits the funny little joke, but it's it's a gift, so to speak, because they're in sand and they used, the spit, the saliva, the water. And then just how he held himself, even though he can get crushed by Oscar Isaac and his crew, he still kind of held himself like, I don't care, man. Like we like they have their own set of rules and stuff. So the acting was stellar. The some of the tension, even though there wasn't one particular part when Jessica, the Paul's mom, is like they're trying to get the helicopter thing to go, and it's just like taking a long time. They can't start it up, and she's just looking to see if anybody's chasing after him. And there's nobody's chasing after him yet. Nobody's there. It's a tension moment which doesn't have any tension, which is funny because nothing's happening, but it's still you're still tensed. You're still kind of like go 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 go, but it's not that trope where they got to them, they caught up to them. So I like that. The tension was great. I think it's such a slower paced film, but I think they could have cut out a little bit of things, and I did after watching this film because I've only seen Dune, the David Lynch Dune, like bits and parts of it. I really didn't know what coming into it what Dune was all about. I am still somewhat confused on some of the things, but I get the gist of it, especially the spice, how important that is, the betrayals. I get it, the different kind of like the political system here. I get it, but I didn't know what was going on coming to it. And Albert, I spoiled myself. I didn't read the books or anything like that, but I went on Wikipedia and I read everything that's going to happen after this movie. And the thing is, I'm not going to say anything, but the thing is, it gets more insane. It makes it blows my mind. I don't get if I didn't get it now, I don't think I'm gonna really get it going forward because it's just so bizarre and there's so many things that happen and you're just like, what? But they do a good job kind of explaining a lot of things that are happening in this film. I think I would have liked them to go more in depth about like there at one point there was a revolution against the robots, against cyborgs and stuff that they didn't cover in this first film, and I don't think they're going to cover later on. But that's why Dune, all these characters don't have like computer stuff, and why you see these guys, flip, which was an awesome effect, getting information, and you see them, their eyes go blank, doing the Undertaker kind of thing. It was pretty dope. So there's a lot of details in there that you gotta kind of go and search for some of the information, because I don't think they're going to tell you too much in the second one because there's just so much to cover. 2.5 hours. I actually would have been okay if it went three. I think I would have been okay if they went 3 hours or a little bit, at least 15 more minutes of it. But my overall thing about coming out of this movie, and this is the thing I was going to tell you, Albert. So how I viewed this film, and how I felt about this film is, it's like a three-story art museum. And this art museum tells a narrative story with different artists. You go to the first section and you're seeing all the pretty things. You're going around the first floor. You're seeing the narrative. You're seeing all the pretty paintings. You're seeing the craftsmanship. You're seeing it tell somewhat of a story, and you're appreciating it. It's kind of boring in the beginning. You kind of want to go outside and get a corn dog, out of the vendors. You're getting a little bit bored. It seems like the same stuff that you're going through, but then starts getting interesting. The paintings start getting more realistic, something you haven't really seen before, and you're starting to reach the end of the first section, and you got to move on to the second section, and the narrative continues. And as you get out of that first section and you're heading upstairs, you're going to the second section, and security stops you and says, "We're closed for the day." That's what the film reminded me of. It was the first section, it was the first movie, and you're finally getting into it. You're not thinking about the corn dog, and then you get to the second section, and somebody tells you like, "Nah, we're gonna stop right here. You're gonna have to come back later on." So that's what the film. That's the gist of what I felt coming after watching this film. So, Albert, what is your dislikes, your loves? What did you think about Dune?
I feel like we should take it like a section at a time. Like we should talk about the actors or like the graphics or whatever, because I think that way we'll like cover it all. Because I don't want to miss anything with this movie because there was a lot, and I had never seen anything of the old movie, and I knew that there was books, but like I never read them. But I will say that after having watched that movie, I do want to like kind of read the books, because it interests me in them. But yeah, I liked it. Um, with the actors, I'll start off talking about the actors. I
Mm-hmm.
think they all did a great job. Jessica and Duke was his dad's name, and then Paul.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
I think they all worked well. I don't know if like Duke and Jessica really loved each other or what. Um, I feel like they didn't share too many scenes together, but their scenes with Paul, I loved. Like they were so different, and we get that because he comes from royalty, and she comes from like witches or something. I'm not sure, but
Yeah,
it was
that
just
was
it
that was
was
the
crazy.
interesting part. Yeah.
And I like how they don't explain everything, but they don't have to, um, like they can delve into it more in a future movie. And yeah, I thought that this would be part one of like a trilogy or two movies or four or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't sure though, so when I sat down and I saw it said part one, I was like, oh, interesting. Um, but yeah, Timothy, as I told you, I asked you if he did well. It's just because I don't know. I don't. He's very popular, and I didn't seen him in anything that caught my eye, right? But this movie put him on my radar. Honestly, now I agree with everyone. He is a good actor. He did a good job. A lot of people are talking about the scene where he puts his hand in the box. How that was like some good acting, and yeah, I agree. Um, but yeah, the movie was casted well. There's so many big names, and spoiler, a lot of them died. Um,
Jason Momoa
yeah,
as
he
Duncan.
that as Duncan, Idaho.
Mm-hmm.
Then Oscar Isaac died.
Oh, that
I
was.
think Josh Brolin died, but
I was
we
going to ask you that. Did he die?
We didn't see it, so I'm gonna say he didn't.
I'm
But
gonna say he didn't either because yeah, he goes into battle, and then they
yeah,
do capture some of the men, and like Dave Bautista is
yep.
executing them. But I didn't see Josh Brolin on that lineup.
So, and you know, with anything, if we don't see them die, they're not dead. So we
Absolutely,
have
yeah.
to do nothing. So unless they did show it and I just missed it, because there was a lot going on, right? But no, I feel like they would have. If he did die, I feel like they would have, like, for sure shown us that this guy's dead. But I don't think he is.
I don't think he's dead.
But yeah,
I don't
it.
think he's dead.
I like the movie. I was very surprised that Zendaya was not in it, like until the last 5 minutes, other than just his dreams of her. But like voice lines, the last
Yeah,
what 10 minutes
I
she's in it. I was
I could
surprised by it.
s- I could see why they didn't put her in the first film because she has such a bigger role after this. Because there's just not enough time to tell. Like that was the problem with David Lynch's film was they told like all three of the books, or they try to shove everything in there, including like the war that's about to go down. I mean, you saw the vision and stuff, but like
Yeah,
it's not I'm happy that they didn't try to squeeze all that in because it would have made the movie so bloated and just not the pacing would have been more terrible than it wasn't terrible pacing, but it would have been so wonky going forward.
it reminded me of like a TV show type of pacing, and especially with how it ended. It
Yeah.
ended as if the next episode would start, or you have to wait next week for the next episode. But now it's a movie. You have to. You said 3 years. That's like the minimum. It might be 4 or 5. Who knows?
If I'm
Um,
HBO Max, I'm discussing. If I'm one of the heads, I'm discussing this. Like, why are we doing films? Why don't we like let's kick the Dune series with a film at the first film, and let's continue it as a TV show.
mhm.
I think it just works better as a HBO Max series. Like if you want the next Game of Thrones, people, I think this can be. I think this is the closest thing because there's so much political stuff happening, betrayals, deaths,
Mhm.
uniqueness. Like it really, I think this was probably the closest thing to a Game of Thrones in the early seasons that you kind of get in a lot of the media that we've had today.
Yeah, and just like Game of Thrones season one, what was his name? The Stark,
Ned,
um, that died at the end of
Ned,
season one. Like Oscar Isaac, he's like you don't
he's the
expect
Ned.
him to
Yeah,
die.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, there was yeah, watching it, my biggest fear was gonna be that it reminded me a little too much of Star Wars because that's what the
Somewhat.
other sci-fi,
Yeah.
but it didn't like it didn't feel like Star Wars at all to me. Um,
Just a little bit. It felt a little bit like A New Hope.
uh-huh.
A little bit, not a lot. I mean, Star Wars was in like Dune came before Star Wars, I believe, and George Lucas was
But
influenced
I
by
mean
this.
the world, like what they're showing us,
Yeah.
feel like
It,
it. Like the chips felt different.
yes.
And I
Yes.
like the designs and their weapons, like they had lasers and stuff, but they worked way differently. Um,
I like the shield part. I mean, sometimes it was kind of weird the fighting wise because like the shield is like blocking the attacks and like sometimes not.
I don't because I didn't read the books, right? But I was watching that, I was like, is this just so we know when someone dies, like, oh, red's bad? That's
Yeah,
now.
I thought because what is it? I don't think this is rated R. I think this is rated PG-13. I
Yeah,
believe.
13.
Yeah,
So,
so I thought honestly the red being bad and then the death blows and the gruesome knife stabs. I thought like, well, that's one way to get around the censors, or the R rating. So I thought that, and that's why I thought like it kind of worked, but it kind of didn't because it was kind of like I don't know, weird in a sense. This
it
film kind of
was
reminded me a little bit of John Carter too.
all right. But yeah, I like the world that they built, and watching it, it was kind of weird because I was like, it kind of felt like there is a part of the story that takes place before, and I
Mm,
think you mentioned that there is lore, right? In the books, they go into what happens before with like fighting the robots or AIs, and I had heard about that. That like they don't have AIs anymore. So
Yeah.
I was like curious, like what happened. They don't really reference too much in like about stuff in the past, but it it did feel like there is something that came before this part one. I'm not sure, but I think it worked well. This is definitely a movie where you have to like pay attention. You can't you like you have to see what's happening and listen. You can't just like if you go on your phone, like if you're at your house, right?
Yeah.
And you go on your phone for like a minute and then you look back up, like you're probably gonna miss something important, honestly. Um, so that's why I agree where I don't think this is for everyone. Um, this is it felt more like one of those art movies, you know, like The Green Knight, how that one was like you
I
it's
I feel
not
like
for
there was more interesting stuff in this film. Like there was more kind of like I guess action sequences and things to like grasp onto,
Mhm.
but like a general audience, like let's say like the main villain, right? The freaking I don't know what the hell you would
Arkin,
call him.
Arkin or
Is it
whatever. No.
he's played by Skarsgård.
Yeah.
His name is the Baron, right?
Oh,
The
Baron.
Baron was so freaking weird. He floats
Mm-hmm.
up. He's in the goo. He's
Mm-hmm.
just a weird freaking character. I think a lot of people would. I think he did a great job. Skarsgård did a fantastic job. He played it very subtle, very not over the top. It could have been an over the top character. The but some of these things in this film, like I just see the general audience go, what the hell are they
Mm-hmm.
talking about? You know, this movie are them getting really bored with it, especially like it takes a while to really kind of go. Like they're really just on a planet and seeing, and then you get introduced to the spice. Like it's a very long character always gets assassinated, but then you're kind of like confused. Like, wait, is he gonna get assassinated? Like, why is he like? It's confusing sometimes. You made the big point in the beginning. Jessica and her kind of cult, like the witchery kind of witch people. I don't know what the hell that. I don't know what was going on. I like the scene. I like the
Yeah,
scene
I
where
love
he's,
this.
yeah, you know, he's a put your hand in the box and she's got the needle.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I don't know what this whole thing's about. And then you won't know until like later on, so to speak. You kind of get the gist of it. This film is all about getting the gist of things, but there's so many weird talks when they were explaining the names of the different, you know, of the emperor and the different kind of like people that are going, you know, the Duke's clan or what the Duke's whole army. I'm like, what? The Freeman, like I know about the Freeman because it just kind of it's easier to remember. They're talking about the
Yeah.
Freeman. They're talking about the Baron's crew. Like I don't know. What? Okay, you know, I'm just visually gonna watch and maybe I'll understand it. And that's the beauty of the director is visually he gives you that visual to kind of get what's going on. You know that the Duke got betrayed, you know, or he got sent to that planet basically to they wanted basically to die. They sent him to die. The one gripe I had with this, Albert, and I don't know if you agree with me on this or not, because there's a couple things that I'm just like really, but there's one thing I absolutely hated about this film was the betrayal scene. Was the
Mm-hmm.
doctor, and all because he thought his wife was alive and he wanted her back. He portrays he just everything collapses just because of that one guy. And it was so stupid. It was so dumb. Like honestly, do you think that she is alive? I think in the David Lynch or in the book, he already knows she's dead. He just wants revenge. So it's the same thing. He gives the Duke that tooth. He bites down, and then that poison comes out, but it's different. It's differently told. This is different. This he honestly thinks that his wife is still alive, and he thinks the Baron's just gonna let him go. It's stupid. It's really dumb. Like really, nobody in their right mind would think that everything was gonna just work out peaches and cream like that. Nah,
Yeah.
no. Very
Um.
it that took me out. That took me out because that was a like everything was so good, especially the invasion. I'm like, yeah, the invasion's coming. And at first I thought he was gonna like he just stunned him and was gonna take him somewhere and hide him or something like that. But then I was like, and then when he's like, "Oh, you're gonna get this tooth and blah blah blah, like revenge, blah blah blah." I'm like, "Ah, man, Oscar Isaac." I mean, I kind of knew Oscar Isaac was gonna die. I mean, it was set up. You just saw it coming. But that was the one part I really did not like about this film was just that particular part. I don't know if you feel the same way on
um
that one.
to me, I'll say I don't know, because love is blinding. So he might have been like, yeah, she's still alive. I don't know how that went with his talk with the Baron that we didn't see, right?
Yeah.
It was like you have to betray them,
Oh
but
well, it's like when the Baron said, "Oh yeah, I'll let the boy and Jessica live."
hmm
Wink, wink. Oh well, we'll throw them in the desert and they'll die out there.
hmm
Like I've seen that 1,000 times, and that's I'm gonna give the I'm gonna give the fact that the older lady, the older witch lady, just like knew he was lying and she just didn't give a shit. Honestly, I'm gonna think that, but that was another stupid thing. Like to really think you will believe the Baron, and the Baron betrayed both of them. So
yeah. But I'll say about that betrayal,
hmm
although I like, yeah, whatever. To me though, it didn't have any the betrayal didn't have any weight to it. So like I didn't care. Like it was just like, oh, he betrayed them. It didn't feel like I didn't have any emotional connection to it, right? I wasn't like, oh, that I didn't see that coming. It was just like, oh, it happened. Um, so that's my only thing about it was I didn't care for the betrayal. I just saw is that's that was probably like the only way I can think of to get from point A to point B. Um, yeah, I don't know. The wife, I mean, there's theories that she was that weird spider thing that they turned her into that weird spider thing that you see when the witch tells the spider to leave and she uses the voice on it, which would be crazy. And
wait, when was that?
remember when the witch goes to talk to the Baron?
Oh, you think that was Jessica, the
No, no,
spider?
the wife of the doctor,
Oh, okay. Ooh, yeah.
like the creature right there, and the witch tells her to leave, tells the thing to leave, and then Baron's all like, it doesn't understand, and then she uses the voice and it leaves. Yeah, there's a theory that because
Is
I
the wife? Oh, that'd be jacked up, man.
that's
Because
why, and I'm like, I
well,
hope,
didn't he say in the film she got mutilated? Like
yeah, and
he knows that she got tortured.
yeah, and that's why it's like it could be. So when I read that someone said that they feel like that might be her, like that is messed up, but at the same time, like that would be dope if it is, because the
That's
Barons, that whole planet, their people, they creep me out, dude. And that spider thing is like, I feel like that's just the tip of the iceberg with them. Who knows what else they got? We didn't see much of their planet. We didn't see too much of them either. And but what we did see was creepy. Like the floating Baron, that shit looks pretty creepy. At first, I didn't know he was
oh,
floating. At first, I thought he had tall legs or something.
ah,
The second scene when I saw him, and I was like, oh, he's floating. It's just his
he's
robe.
floating.
Yeah.
This little hippopotamus freaking body, like he's so weird, dude. He's
It
so
is
weird.
weird. There's so many things in the movie that they don't explain it, but they don't have to, honestly.
They don't.
Um,
I mean, it's so I always like kind of weirdness. Like in Halloween Kills, I'm gonna go
uh-huh.
to another movie I saw. There's this old elderly couple, and this old lady has like a drone, and I'm like,
Yeah,
okay, they're gonna explain why she has this drone, but they never do. It's
they
just
don't.
there, and
Mhm.
it's okay. I like the weirdness, the campiness of it. So the same with Dune. They don't really have to like. I don't. Why does he have this huge ass body, right? That's why I call him a hippopotamus because he's just a big ass or a seal. He looks like a seal, but it's all right. Whatever. They don't
I'm
really
sure
have to
there's a
explain it.
reason. I mean, they probably cover in the books.
Oh, most
Um,
definitely. They have to,
I'm
right? They
sure
have to.
I'm sure it's not just. they didn't just write that he's a big dude and they didn't write why. Like,
Yeah.
so
It
I don't
rem-
know if
it,
we see in the
it
next
kind of
movie.
reminded me a little. This movie reminded me a little bit of Prometheus too.
It's been a while
A,
since I've seen that one,
a,
but yeah.
a lot of Prometheus in here. A lot of, and then you got to, maybe Ridley Scott. I think Ridley Scott was attached to do a Dune movie at one point. I can't remember.
hmm
Um, and then also the part where the Baron is kind of like after the poisoning happens and they think he's dead, he's just like up. It was like such a great imagery where he's just kind of like on the ceiling and he's just like huddled, and he's obviously hurt, but he's still alive. I thought that was a great scene because you're just kind of like you can't make it out, but
Uh-huh.
it's like such a like a weird, odd, and like fascinating scene and fascinating shot. So I mean, like I said, the direction in here is really phenomenal. Especially when we get to the sandworms,
Mhm.
the look of the film, the sand itself. Like it's shot so great, you know.
The spice in the sand, it looked cool.
Yeah, the spice.
Mhm.
Here's the thing, Albert. So we talk about that one scene that I didn't like, but we were talking about the music too.
Yep.
I am not. Hans Zimmer did the music. Hans Zimmer is
I didn't know that
amazing,
till after, and
amazing.
I wouldn't have guessed.
He's amazing.
Yeah.
But I am not gonna give Hans Zimmer a pass
Uh,
because everybody was shitting, and everybody, including myself, was so annoyed with the Snyder cut. And every time Wonder Woman, and it would just come in throughout the whole movie with somebody going, "Ah!" Dune does the same thing. I will not give Dune a pass. If you're going to ridicule and critique Snyder cut on that, which rightfully so, because it was really annoying through that film. It was really annoying in this film. I have not heard anybody talk about it. Yes, it's two different movies, two different kind of tones, but not really, because that still doesn't wasn't needed in this film. So
mhm.
I'm not giving Hans Zimmer a pass. If you take that out, the score is great. I'm not gonna say it's phenomenal. I
To
think
me, it
it's
wasn't
great.
memorable.
I
Um,
it
there,
they didn't need
there
that part.
wasn't a scene to me where the
Yeah.
soundtrack amplified it, you know? And coming from Hans Zimmer, this is the man that made the score for the docking scene in Interstellar, which
Oh yeah.
amazing scene,
See,
but
Interstellar
his
soundtrack.
score
My.
over that scene just takes it another notch. So to
Mm-hmm.
me, there was cool scenes that happened, and whatever soundtrack they put over it, it didn't make it go like it didn't bring it down, but also didn't bring it up.
I don't
And
think it did either. Yeah.
that's what that's something that was I wasn't disappointed at first, but when I found out that it was Hans Zimmer that did the soundtrack, I was like, oh man, now I am disappointed because I know that this man can do magic, you know. But
Yeah.
with this movie, I mean, they definitely went for a like a tone, you know, like they definitely went for something and they stuck to it. Like it was consistent, I would say. Just it wasn't memorable to me. I didn't care for it. There wasn't like one part where I was like, oh man, this is because when the score is good, that can get your heart racing, and
Yeah.
it didn't do that for me. Um,
That's why John Williams is such a legend because he
mhm,
amplifies the films. Jurassic Park is not the same without John Williams, or even Jaws, or even Star Wars. Like Star Wars is John Williams. Even Hans Zimmer, like Hans Zimmer, when he did The Dark Knight,
mhm,
and the last shot of The Dark Knight, when he's like that great monologue by Gordon going, "We have to hunt him," but why? But why? And you
but,
just the music, and then he's
mhm,
going on the bike, and then you go, and then Dark Knight. Like, I'm getting goosebumps even remembering it and watching it in the theater.
you
Amplifies
see,
the ending.
cool scene brought another couple notches because of the score combined with the scene.
The
Because you,
score,
yep,
yes,
man,
absolutely.
exactly. So they didn't have that in this movie.
No,
So I
no,
think it
they just
maybe
had that annoying ass voice. I
Um,
I just couldn't. I couldn't, man. I
our,
couldn't.
look, the voice. I love the voice in the theater. That shit was crazy. It was the loudest part of the movie whenever the voice was used.
Are you talking
And
about the power? I'm just talking about the soundtrack.
oh yeah, sorry, yeah, I was talking about
Yeah,
the
yeah.
power.
Okay,
The
well, let's
soundtrack,
get into the voice, the power. So the power was cool. That's a
the
cool
power
element.
is dope. Both.
That's exactly like Akira,
Uh
the
huh.
or anything anybody who has telekinesis,
Uh huh.
except used in a different way and used in the voice. And Rebecca Ferguson kills it using that power.
Well, my
Jessica.
favorite um usage of the voice was when the mother or whatever
Yeah,
when
Rebecca Ferguson.
no her mom, I don't know, they call her mother something, not
Oh,
Rebecca,
oh,
the
yes,
one with the box.
yes.
When she used it, because that was the first time I like we heard it with Timothy when he used it with the water, but like he was practicing, right?
That
This
was a good
girl
setup. That
did it,
was a good
so
setup. Yeah.
she used it. The theater, like, dude, that it was crazy. I felt like she got me with the voice. Like, it was so loud. So, and I loved that. Like, it was crazy loud, that part. It was kind of spooky too, but I love how it sounds. And I love how it's like the loudest part of the movie. And then love the visual of, because we see it from his perspective when she uses the voice on him, and it's like he just like teleports, but like obviously he didn't, just that his mind goes blank, so then like he snaps out of it or whatever once he's kneeled. So that was crazy. I love that part. But yeah, that voice, I want to see more of it. I loved every time they used it.
Yeah, the voice is great, man. And you're absolutely right because it kind of it had steps, right? So the first step was showing like him what the voice potentially could do.
mhm,
Then the mother priest chick comes in and what effects it has with a person who's affected by it because
mhm,
it's a great editing and shot where like you're right, he's like in a daze and then he's just kind of like awoke, like he doesn't know what the hell just happened. And give it to Timothy. Timothy sells that so well. Timothy sells a lot of stuff in here really well, and I'll get back into that. But and then you see Rebecca Ferguson, Jessica, using it at its full capability,
mhm,
and just the power that she has. Like think of it, right? When at the end when she's with these Freemans, Javier Bardem, and they're about to like kill them just for their water. Their body has water. She could wipe them out with ease. She could
yeah,
just use the voice, but she doesn't do that. She goes hand to hand combat because she is
mhm.
good in hand to hand combat. She's such a powerful character, but she has restraint for the power. Like she knows she has this power that she wields that could just decimate anybody, but she doesn't necessarily use it. That's probably how did she get captured, man? That's what I want to know. How the hell did she get? Did they
She
like
was
tie?
asleep, so they just
Did they
surprised
go
her.
straight for the mouth? I guess maybe.
Assuming
I
they
mean, they if they knew, then they should have.
well,
Yeah,
because
they
the
probably
Baron
knew.
was to that witch that knew, so
Yeah,
they could have told her something like, "Oh yeah, she can use his power."
get her
Um,
for the mouth, man, or something like that.
so, but dude, I love that scene when they're in that little dragonfly helicopter, and then like he's trying to use the voice. Oh yeah, another thing, the little sign language thing that they're doing, that
Love
was
it,
amazing. Yep,
love
that
it.
was like just things like that where they don't explain it. It's sign language though, but like just
It
one
gives the characters you invested more in the characters because they have these little because they're you get that they they're mother and son and they have this connection and then that you it's just a little subtle thing they do but it's so effective throughout the film and they use
seen it
it throughout
before
the film.
also with like that maiden and the guard or whatever when she was like saying she was like using it like, oh, get ready to fight, or like I forgot what she was saying,
Oh
but it
yeah, with the
wasn't the first time I saw
the
it.
dagger. Yeah.
The same with what's his name, the leader of the Freeman, I forgot his name, but when he comes and he first talks to everyone,
Oh, Javier or Duncan.
that guy. Um, he also does a sign language to Timothy
Oh,
where
that's right. He
he's
does.
all like I know you, like you're familiar or something. And it's just it's a cool. I thought it was cool, because it's like something where two people can interact without everyone else knowing that they're
Knowing
talking.
what, yeah,
So
it
when,
is like, somebody knowing a language you don't know,
hmm
and they're so it's exactly like that, except they're not speaking a language; they're speaking in sign. Well, they're technically they are speaking in sign language.
language, because it's they just ever use one hand, which
Yeah,
made it seem more, like a different universe, or not a different universe. It's way it's 8,000 years in the future.
it's
So
unique. Like you
it
don't
is.
see it a lot in film. You see it in some. I've seen it in some other, but in a different context, in a different tone, a different movie. Like so, seeing it in a Dune film like this, it was really refreshing to see something a little different. That's why I like the Green Knight a lot because the Green Knight was a little different than I'm used to. So like this film, this is what I like. This what makes me want to go and like see what happens next already. Makes me kind of like invested in it, watching videos about it because it I did get an impression with it after watching it. Like I did want to know more about it. I did want to know like the world building in this is really great. Like it makes you want to know what are the different factions that we didn't really see. What's the politics of everything? Like how many betrayals have been going on throughout the centuries? What is the prequel? How did the humanity get enslaved by like a Terminator like aspect of these robots and why they and I find that super interesting that that's why even though we're in the future we're not using technology because technology did rise up and take over. So you get that Terminator-esque
I
story and
mean, where was that from? They said that in the movie.
no, it's in the
Okay,
books.
I was gonna say I missed that. All
It's in
right,
the books and it's in the 1984 David Lynch. It's lore. It's Dune lore. I
you
don't know
see,
why they didn't do that.
that
Say it in
makes
this film.
that makes me want to watch the. I mean, want to read the books, honestly, or
I don't want
like
to read the books. It's too much, too
it
crazy. Like I
is-
won't understand anything. But I like that. I do think that they missed out on some of the lore. I don't know why they didn't put that in. I
Mhm.
honestly don't because that's a big factor. Because I was
Um,
thinking about it, right? Like it's not like they have autopilots when they're flying the bug
mhm.
helicopter. It's all manual, and that's what I appreciate. And I'm just like, dude, like that's a big thing you probably should have addressed in the beginning of the film. Just addressed, so we know why there's a lot of manual things happening in this world. It's not as sci-fi as you think it should be.
It could have been a little paragraph, like in the beginning of the film, just saying a little summary of what happened, like 8,000 years in the future. Like
Or
this is,
or
they're-
or the Duke addressing it or something.
yeah, they could have addressed that. And I wish they would have. Now that I know, like now that I know this information, I was like, cause I didn't know that the
Yeah,
AIs there was like
I
some war or whatever.
I didn't
Um,
know anything until I like went out there and saw videos and like I saw the Angry Joe review and they seem to be really invested in Dune. They read the books and the TV show and all that stuff. And then I did my own research and stuff. So there's some elements in this first film that they didn't do that the David Lynch did, but you know, very interesting stuff. I want to go back to Timothy because
yeah,
Timothy, like you said, you were kind of worried about him.
yeah.
I thought he did a phenomenal job, and I
Mhm.
thought the one scene that made me really like him as an actor is the subtlety when his father does tell him that all ever wanted you to be was my son, and a slight smile, not fully, but just really slight smile was perfect. Like that was perfect by him. Including also the assassination scene. I thought he carried that intensity really well. His fighting was great. The character's fighting it's himself, like how he held his own. Him going respecting the planet, respecting the culture is really fascinating to me. I really like that because one of the doctors after the suits look cool too. I really like the suits. That's kind of remind
Mhm.
me a little bit of Prometheus a little bit too. So the suits, and then how the doctor's like making sure that he's all good to go, and then she's kind of like impressed because he has his like cuffs or like outside of it. Like usually the freemen do that, like that's the way to wear them. So she was
Yep.
impressed by that. He's the Messiah. All right. Everybody is saying that there's something about this kid. Even the sandworm. I think they addressed it in the movie that one of the guys uses like one of the little the bomb things to kind of like keep it at bay. But there's something. But that scene really reminded me of like that sandworm's like, yeah, there's something about you. So
Yeah.
so Paul as a character, he's not gonna be likable if Timothy doesn't do his job, and I think he did his job, man. Like I'm not saying this
Good. He
guy's my Luke
wasn't.
Skywalker,
Yeah. Yeah. No.
but it seems like it's one step to me maybe wanting to see, okay, I'll ride with you, I'll go with you on this journey, and hopefully this journey pays off because I'm invested in your character right now. So I kind of want to see the relationship between him and Zendaya, or was it Shani? I want to see those two and see. It looks like it's going to be like a another. I'm from another clan, and you're from the higher clan, and we can chase whatever the colors in the wind, like that kind of deal. All right,
Hmm.
but so far Timothy has done a great job. I think that's excellent casting. I am very intrigued to see how much more of a badass he becomes because we did get that flashback. He was
There was
kicking
one
some
cast,
ass, or not
or not
flashback, vision. Sorry.
the visions. Yeah, I want to see how they pull off the visions, where if they're gonna like just recreate them or what. But there was one casting where I didn't care for, and that's just because I feel like they didn't do much of his character, but they probably will in the next couple movies, and that was Dave Batista as whoever he played, the nephew of the Baron. Um, like I just the only time I remember him was talking to the Baron, and then just when he's decapitating the heads of those guys that they have captured. The like, I feel like he didn't really do anything. Um, so I like Dave Batista's. I liked him as a wrestler. I like him in Guardians of the Galaxy. Um, but yeah, I feel like the character didn't do much.
He was a lot of people call him a thumb sore. I didn't think Dave Batista, like compare Dave Batista with Jason Momoa. Jason
Mhm.
Momoa had way more to play with, was more
Mhm.
memorable than Dave Batista. Dave
Like
Batista is good with just minor roles, in my
they
opinion. I
could
did
have
not
had
like him
Dave
Arm of the Dead.
Bautista be the one that takes down Jason Momoa. That they like that would have been cool. I don't know. What do you think? I don't know,
They're
but I
st-
feel
they're,
like
st- they're they're staying really true to the books, so
oh, I
so
forget.
that scene might have just happened throughout the books.
Yeah,
There's more to come. I think
yeah.
I think they stayed on that.
The first half of the first book. I don't even think this was all the first book. I think this was like the first portion of the first book. So
Maybe.
I feel like that's what I read. So if that's true, yeah, I feel like we'll see more of him. Which like I'm not saying I disliked him. I don't want to see him again. It's just I want to
It,
like. They didn't give
nothing
me
to
any.
do. Nothing to
Yeah,
do.
nothing
Nothing
to
to
do
do.
with it. But
Mm,
that's fine. I mean, because with Zendaya, like it's kind of the same thing, but that's a different scenario. Because it's just she wasn't in the movie until the end, and I loved her introduction. Where you see that Timothy's like ready to blast some whoever, like the people that are gonna hurt his mom,
yeah.
and things cool down over there. So then he's calming down, and then you hear Zendaya, and it's just like, oh, just so you know, I would have never let you hurt my friends. And she was like,
Yeah.
ready to shoot him. I was like, oh yeah, I like that. But yeah, I look forward to seeing them working together. The
Or
division ready.
the one part too, I have to say, is when she gives him like her grandma's dagger. Like,
Mm-hmm.
hey, if you're gonna, I want you to die in honor. No confidence in him. Like, you're gonna die, but die in honor. I like that scene. That scene was pretty nice too.
Yeah, she said like what it would be an honor for you to die holding this or something like
Yeah.
that. And, yeah, no
Okay,
confidence. But
but
they put up
here's the
their
thing.
best or one of the best fighters, right? They said Jarvis, I think that was his name, was a good fighter.
Okay, so here's the other thing that was confusing me. So he has visions throughout the film, right?
Yep.
We haven't seen a lot of the visions come to play, like the later on ones. We see the Duncan one where he said Duncan was gonna die. And Duncan
Mhm.
says like, "Nah, bro, I'm good." He dies. Um, so he has a vision of the guy he's fighting with
Yeah, that's why I didn't
tr-
think he was gonna die because
training him. It looked like he was training him,
and
and
he's showing
then it,
ways.
yeah, and then it showed Paul getting stabbed, and then there was like rebirth and rise, and you have to kill your. Like I was like, okay, well maybe he loses this fight, and then he rises, and then he unlocks some power or something like that, like a phoenix, right from the ashes. But that doesn't go down that way. He kills the guy,
Yep,
and like I'm like, wait a minute. So he's not gonna train him. He's not like I was very confused by that, honestly.
that confused me as well. Because does that imply that not all his visions like come true?
I
Or
hope because I don't want it to be that plain and simple. You know, when it comes to it's kind of like it's absolutely like Star Wars. You know how Anakin has these visions and like, you know, even the Jedi or whatever Sith have visions, but it's not clear as day. Like you may have a vision, but it may not work out that way, honestly.
uh-huh.
So I'm kind of thinking this is the same case for this film. And I hope it is because I don't want like because they do show Zendaya or Shawnee stab him at one point during their she stabs him and then she has blood on her hands. So I think it's kind of like a lot of even a lot of the tribal stuff back in the day, you know, Native Americans and you know their visions not you see in movies and stuff or just overall and like it just doesn't it's not as crystal it's not crystal it's just an image that you see doesn't mean it's going to happen. It's just going to maybe it's a more of a foreshadowing or more of a how do you say it? More of just kind of like a gist of it. Doesn't mean that
Mhm.
if that's exactly going to happen. So I'm hoping that's the case. So I'm a little bit more surprised, and it doesn't just go down like that throughout. Like I don't want to know what's going to happen in the future. Just let me, you know, let me. Hopefully those visions are not 100% true. I'm okay with some of them being true, but not all of them. So I was really surprised by this, but it was like a welcome surprise. I'm like, okay, it was not exactly what I thought was going to happen. That's great. I don't want to be like, I don't want to go into this and knowing already what's going to go occur. You know?
Yeah, it might have it might have been a vision of something that could have happened, but just the way it went down, like it went in a different way. So now that's not gonna happen. But different timeline, I guess. I don't know.
I
Um,
don't know.
but,
I don't know. It's interesting. It's very interesting.
but yeah, I think the guy's dead. I don't think he's coming back. I don't think they're gonna do some magic on him.
It looked like
So
he was. It looked like he was dead for sure.
hmm um, yeah,
So yeah, I mean, the acting is great. All Rebecca Ferguson is another standout. I think she did a fantastic job with Jessica. She really conveyed a badass woman without really kind of just overshowing it. You know, there was things that she has to do to survive with Paul, and she just holds her own, and she showcases her powers, and she's a really cool character. She's one of the most powerful characters there. She's very distraught because first of all, she wasn't supposed to have a son. She wanted a son for the Duke. She wanted to give the Duke a son. Like the meeting with the witch, she even told like Jessica, you weren't even supposed to. This power is only passed down to daughters, to women,
hmm
and I think that's fantastic that he has powers, especially nowadays where protagonists, woke culture, whatever you want to call it. The beauty about this film is I didn't once think about any of that. Honestly, I didn't think about race. I didn't think about male or female who's stronger abilities. No, the only thing I thought about was like, okay, this Freeman has a culture. They have, you know, kind of like things they do. there's different kind of, it's the same old story, right, where a colony comes in, or they try to colonize the place to try to take over. There's they have It's kind of like cowboys and Indians, right, or I should say pilgrims and Indians, right. It's kind of like that. But at not one point did I think of anything like that until I watched Grace Randolph's review, and I was like, "Oh my god, really?" Then she wanted to go straight to it, and I know I don't know why I watch her most of the time. Sometimes I
Stopped
agree with
watching
her,
a long time ago.
sometimes I agree with her, but when she goes into the politics of things, and then she tries to make a point, I'm like, just watch the damn movie. So this film, if I'm gonna say anything about this film, the great thing about this film is if you need an example of a film that's just trying to be a film, that's just trying to cast great actors, visually be stunning. Don't even think about like, oh my god, this person needs more shine. This person needs more shine because she's a woman, or this person needs more shine because everybody thinks the woman needs to be more and this man needs to be. No, you know what? Everybody has equal footing. Paul is good in his own right, and I thought Jessica, the character Rebecca Ferguson, nails it. I thought she did a great job of being that motherly figure because she's distraught. She's crying. She's like very hurt that her boy might die in that room, very
Hmm.
well, and she can't do a damn thing about it.
Hmm.
Who was it? I think it was the drunken reviewer. Always states this: a woman could be powerful even though she's showing motherly, love for their child, being crying, being tender, knowing that you could still showcase that because that's a strong feeling and that's strong attributes. So I thought that scene was great. I thought it was a little messed up. I could feel Paul's frustration when he says, "You made me a freak." Like, but they banded together. They have this deconnection, and then the movie keeps rolling along. They're trying, and it becomes like a survival kind of film, which I always like survival films. And then also just thinking about the loss of their father, or of his father, and her. She's a concubine, so she's not the wife. That's why when Oscar Isaac goes, "I wish I would have made you my wife," is because he probably does have a wife, but it's a political marriage,
Hmm.
and she is basically the love of his life. So I get what you're saying about the love thing, the relationship. I think it could have used a little bit more scenes. I did appreciate the scene they gave me though when he was laying down by her and like saying I should have made you my wife. You do see a strong connection there. You see they're both devastated with the total annihilation of their people and the Duke. So there's a lot. Like I said, there's a lot to like about this film. There's a lot. What they really I appreciate is what they really did was they got the right actors for the roles, and all the actors and all the characters got time to really, other than Dave Batista, uh, but they got time to really kind of flesh out their characters a little bit and us to get to know these characters before we move into like the second movie. The one of the surprises was the doctor, right? So she goes another way while Paul and Jessica go another way, and she's about to ride that sandworm. She's
Hmm.
about to ride it, and we see that at the end of this film. I was kind of shocked she died. I was like, "Oh crap!" She gets gutted and she dies. So I thought that was a great surprise. But we get to know the character in that first scene where, with the spice and the controlling doesn't work, and then we see Duke and his heroism, like going down to danger just to get six guys out. I really appreciated that because that guy could have been like Oscar Isaac could have showcased his ruthlessness. Like the spice is more important, and it is after the after fact. He is frustrated because he knows what the consequences are, but he knows that human lives are more matter more than money. So that's the message basically. But the doctor, yeah, they give you a little bit of time so they make that death a little bit more impactful, and they hint at sand power, baby. So
Hmm.
apparently, sand power is the spice itself. A lot of the Freemen have like the blue eyes and stuff, but they're able to ride these sandworms, Albert, which is kind of It's kind of nuts, and I'm surprised they haven't. It really is like I would say like it's going to be interesting when the future war happens because you see it in the vision. I kind of want to see it now. That's the one thing I really want to see for sure.
Yep. What I really liked about that vision is when do you see that happening? You see the sand people just coming out of the sand. I thought that looked dope. Just
Mm-hmm.
just they keep coming out and coming out. I was like, damn, that looks sick.
Reminds me of Starship Troopers.
hmm
Um,
Um, that action scene was cool. It just the face reveal still bothers me. I don't know. Like it just looks so off to me. And I'm not one that says it's usually you that's like, oh yeah, the CGI look bad right here. And I'm just
I didn't get to that yet, too, about
oh,
Dune.
yeah. And I'm always like, what is he talking about? Like I never noticed it. Like it looks fine to me, but on that particular part where his face, it just looks so off. And like, dude, th- people always say that Banner and Hulkbuster is horrible CGI, and I always look at it and I was like, what looks bad about it? I don't
It's
know.
because the head. And if you see Robert Downey Jr. in and Rhodey, Don Cheadle in
Uh,
Civil War, when they're in the suits, because they're not really in the suits,
yeah,
it looks so off.
you see, to me, I don't know. I need to be
I'm
looking for.
blind, Albert. I'm technically blind, and I see this.
All right, maybe it's just because Marvel, my eyes
Maybe.
just blinded out. But with this one, I don't know. It seemed off his head. But yeah, other than that, the CGI to me. Oh, there's another part when the ship comes out of the water. I was like, damn, there's an infinite amount of water on top of that ship when it's like the waterfall effect. But I was like, it's a big ship, but still, just it felt like the water just kept pouring out and out.
I
Um,
I can't tell you what particular scenes they were, but it really reminded me of Star Wars, the prequels,
uh,
where you could just tell the background was like just green screen. I think when it was the guy who was just explaining when they land into the world, or Sakura or Sakaria or whatever, and he's like showcasing all the machinery and they're like about to lift off. Like there's some scenes in the background that just really look fake, and
yeah,
like you could just tell it's a big like green screen. Some scenes like that in the film, but other than that, the film looked pretty damn clean, especially when the ships are attacking the other ships and they have the shields on. Like those are pretty dope and they're exploding. That was pretty dope when Josh Brolin's kind of like running and there's explosions everywhere. The worm, the worm looked great. I like the design of it. It's
it looked
very
creepy.
freaky. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I love the effect when the worm like kind of comes up from the sand, and we seen
Kind
that
of
saw that
become
twice.
mm-hmm.
Great,
Like
great.
that too. Um, yeah, the worms they were trippy. Um, but I liked a lot of the set design. That how I told you, I think it's gonna win an Oscar for
Yeah, it's definitely gonna
the
win a lot of
costume
Oscars on a
design.
lot of things for
Costume
sure.
design was crazy. Like some of those costumes were dope.
I'm glad you pointed that out. It
What
looked the set design looked great.
the set design, yeah, it's good, but like,
Compare it to the David Lynch, and I've seen, like I said bits of parts, but I went back and saw some retrospect on it, and holy moly, man, it is a step up. Even the ship designs, the Baron, thousand times better, thousand times better
mhm.
in this film than the David Lynch film.
Yeah, like to me, the desert is a boring place. It's just empty and sand. But they made it exciting. And it kind of reminded me a little bit of like Avatar when they're in that desert, where like they found a way to make it exciting too. But that's why like the set design was cool, even when they were just in desert. Like is the way the wind would kind of like blow the sand around.
Yeah.
Um, it looked cool. But yeah, their costumes, like the people that were dressed royally, looked dope. The people that were dressed in like suits for combat, those look cool. Um, like the Harkins or whatever, like they look creepy. So like the Imperial Army look different. Like they're different factions, right? And they look different
Mm-hmm.
from but also in a good way, and also like even though they look different, they do look like they belong in the same like world universe. So I liked it. I feel like
Different,
it's gonna be
yeah, different
which
cultures.
for the Oscars, but I just feel like they are gonna win some. Same with sound mixing or editing, because I'm telling you, watching at the theater, that was my favorite part was the just whenever the sound would be like shaking my seat, I was like, oh man, this is crazy. I feel like I wasn't even watching in IMAX. It makes me. I wish I went to go watch that City Walk, but I was like, nah, I'm not gonna drive an hour and a half
For
there,
Dune.
hour and a half back to go watch Dune. But after watching it, I was like, I should have. But also the person I watched it with, like, she didn't want to go out of there. But so maybe later. But yeah, I still saw in the MPX, and it was cool. Like, I want to, I can't imagine in the IMAX screen how it's fills up your whole vision. Um,
I
but
think yeah, man. I think honestly, when the sequel comes out, this is definitely a must watch in the theater. For me, I will go watch it in the theater, even if like HBO still does the streaming thing. Like I'll put my money down for the theater experience. I can't rewatch this on the.
you can watch it
I
tomorrow.
I can't like I'm not saying I can't like I can rewatch this,
Uh,
but there's so many movies out there that I want to see. It's a movie where I'm appreciate watching, but there's like movies like The Antlers I want to see. There's The Eternals that are coming out. There's like Bond I still haven't seen.
I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, there's a lot of movies still out there, and I think Dune is one of the probably more satisfying of the films that were released this year. And I appreciate watching it. And I wish I would have watched the first go at the theater, but I see myself not going to the theater for a second viewing. And I think that's what's gonna hurt Dune. I think Dune is doing great on the box office right now. They're doing steady. They're doing steady numbers, but everybody looks at the second weekend drop numbers. So I think Dune it's 2.5 hours. It's a very slower movie, and this is where I feel that I think they're gonna greenlight a sequel, but they're not gonna give it the same budget that they did this first one, which is gonna hurt it. I think Dune is going to have a significant second weekend drop off because I don't think everybody knows longer films. If you're not a Marvel movie, if you're not a Star Wars movie, and if the pacing is just not really that fast paced, which this film is not, it's not fast paced. It's a good pacing for a film like this, but there's a reason why the David Lynch one didn't work, even though it was a bad movie. Apparently, there's a reason why like John Carter doesn't work. Is because people don't really get it, and people are confused by it, and they like simplicity. So I think the second weekend drop off is going to really kind of showcase where this heads. I know, I know HBO wants this to be a franchise, and I think very well you could do a TV show with it for sure. I just think that it's barely gonna get profit. I think it's a was like a 200 to 300 million dollar budget, not including the you can't you gotta the marketing on this thing being pushed back. So I'm hoping Dune does good. I do. I actually think this movie. Hopefully it does good, so it gets the proper budget. Everything's they sign everybody back on. They have to sign everybody back on. And if I were Warner Brothers, you sign not only the cast back on, but you signed a director for two more films to finish it
Um,
off. Stick with the same director. Obviously, he has a plan and an eye for something. I
yep.
think this film is not going to work. This is a type of film that actually doesn't work with another director stepping in, unless you go. I think similar director is Christopher Nolan, maybe, but I don't know. I don't know. That's a hard one. That's a hard one. But hopefully that gets in order. I agree, Albert. If they do make a sequel, which won't come out until like 3 years down the pipeline, man, and who knows what's gonna happen, with
Yeah.
pandemic and all that stuff. I think we're in a good good course right now. But
Well, I told you when I went to go watch it, there was when I went to go watch Halloween,
yeah.
I couldn't go to the movie theater that I wanted to watch because it was sold out. Like the good movie theater with the recliner seats,
Hmm.
like that, there was no seats on opening day. I went to go watch this one opening day Friday, and I was able to get my tickets the time that it started. The movie was supposed to start 6:30. I got there at 6:30, and there's still seats. So like I was like, is Halloween gonna do make more money than Dune, or like maybe it's just a theater, right? But I was thinking like with Dune, I only like I went to go watch it because I love movies, right? But for just the general audience who goes to watch movies every now and then, like I don't know how well this is gonna do with them. I know they're advertising it as the next Star Wars and Lord of the Rings. I don't think
Yeah.
it is. To me, it is like it kind of is now because I do want them to continue it. I'm invested in the story. Um, I want I want to see what happens next, But for everyone else, I don't think it will be. Because a lot of like Star Wars is merchandise. It's like the lightsabers and like all this merch you want, like everyone wears Star Wars merchandise and stuff. Like with Dune, I don't see anyone wearing a Dune shirt, or like there was no weapon in Dune that people like kids are gonna want to buy. The costumes look cool, but I doubt there's gonna be anyone.
No, yeah. Dune is such a cult kind of following, It's not a major everybody. Game of Thrones got that way just because of the final seasons.
Yeah, the nine
Dragons,
seasons.
memorable lines. Like Dune is just not Game of Thrones. But I agree. I could see it being like when it comes to the massive like epicness of it or like just the scope of it and just the overall storytelling element of it. I could see it being like Lord of the Rings for sure. I think I
Yeah,
would compare it more to Lord of the Rings for sure.
yeah,
But Lord of the Rings, was never a toy seller or anything like that. It was just, memorable. It was movies. It was all about the movies. That's where the money was coming in. Was people going to see the Lord of the Rings in the theaters? I will say Halloween Kills. Here's the thing though. Halloween Kills totally streaming type of movie. I could see it. I watched it in streaming. I don't think you. I think you would have had the same damn experience in streaming it to theater. It's a
same.
streaming movie. It's a streaming movie.
Hmm.
But the Dune, yes, is for sure a movie theater type movie. It's a
So,
very odd release date. It's a very
yeah,
odd
but
release date.
so now that you said that, isn't it strange that it was more packed for Halloween than for Dune?
No, because Halloween's a Halloween movie. We're in October. That's what I'm saying. Dune should have been a November release,
I
but I
get
bet you Warner Brothers saw the Eternals and they're like, we can't do that.
you. Yeah,
And then you
because
got Spider Man, what, December?
slot. Mm-hmm. Spider-Man's December 16th, I believe.
Yeah. And then January is a month where they just let movies die. So that's why they don't want to put it in January. And you
Well,
can't go, they're just
Matrix
sitting on this movie, They got to release it. They were supposed to release it a long time ago, of course. It was a bad release date for sure. I don't think you released. I was kind of shocked that Dune was already releasing in October. I was like, it feels like a November movie.
was the original release gonna be November, December of last year? I
I
believe
don't
it
think
was.
so. I don't think
No?
so. Let me see. Let me see. I have it
So,
up here.
let me know because
I
I
don't
know.
think so. Okay, so here we go. Oh no, that was Venice. I think it released in September 3rd somewhere else. Let me
Yeah,
see.
internationally.
Internationally. Yeah, I mean, it's such an odd release date on October. Let's see if I could find anything. It feels like a maybe a summer movie too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me see. Let's see here.
But yeah, this movie was heavy on the visuals. I feel like that's what a lot of people are gonna remember about it. The visuals of it more so than the actual story and like parts of the universe, like the voice. The damn dragonfly copter. But the actual story, I don't know. It was cool, but I don't think it'll be as memorable as the other things.
No, I think it was. It really felt like it needed. It was just kind of like not a completed movie in my opinion.
It's yeah, it's not because it's the first part of like a 6 hour movie, I would say. Or I don't know if they're gonna do 2 or 3 movies, but yeah, it felt like once you add them all together, then it's a complete movie. Alone, it stands alone like pretty well, but yeah, that's how I felt. It's like the movie's not complete. Like this is just the first chapter. It's like you said with the you go to the museum and they only let you see the first floor and then you're getting ready to go to the second floor and they close it on you.
Mm-hmm. I can't really find anything. I think that was originally supposed to be. I mean, at least this year they were gonna
Mhm.
do the 1st of October, and then they pushed it back to the 22nd. I would even think that the 1st of October would probably work better because you really didn't have anything in the beginning of the month. So, yeah, I don't know what the original release date was in 2020, but I think I lost Albert for a minute. See if I can get him back online.
I'm
There
here.
you go. There we go. All right. Well, we're gonna do our final thoughts. Albert, do you have any final thoughts on Dune before we head out?
Um, you you said that it came out in a weird date.
Twenty
Yeah,
second. Yeah.
I agree because there's like the James Bond movie not too long ago in Halloween, and then there's um some movies coming up, Eternals and some other stuff. I don't know, but just the movie itself, I liked it. I didn't have high expectations going into it. I knew it was gonna be visually appealing, and it was. But I like the story too. I like the world that they crafted, and that director, man, he has a vision. I know he already has I'm pretty sure he
Right
already
on.
knows how he wants to do the next movie and how he wants to end it. I'm pretty sure he knows what he wants to adapt from the books, like the major things, and I want to see that play out. The director's done a bunch of movies that I like, so I look forward to seeing where they go with this. I hope that it's successful enough to where they could do a series on it on HBO, like a prequel. It would be
Mm-hmm.
amazing to see them fight the AI robots or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I liked it. I'm gonna go see it again tomorrow, and I hope to understand the story more, but we'll see because it. I wouldn't say it was like totally confusing. Like it's not confusing like freaking what was it? The last Nolan movie? That one was confusing.
Oh, freaking
Tenet.
Tenet. Yeah,
That one
Jesus
was
Christ.
confusing.
That was
It wasn't
confusing.
that level confusing, but
Yeah.
um it was just like there's a lot of words that were foreign to me, and like there's a lot of talking and it's just I want to watch it again, so I will watch it tomorrow. But yeah, I liked it. It was a good watch. And I look forward to seeing where they go with it.
All right. Well, that's our discussion on Dune. Be sure to click on this subscription button, like the video, comment below. I liked it. Go watch it in the theaters, and then we'll talk to you guys next time. All right.